BBC Radio Newcastle, it's Kelly Scott here. Just gone 14 minutes past 4. Hope you're having a good day so far, nearly the weekend. Once you get to like nearly 5 o'clock, I think we can officially call it the weekend. That's my rules anyway. Now, we like to keep it varied on this show, and if you are a wrestling fan, this is definitely for you. Now, many of us have big memories of the world of sport on a Saturday afternoon with Big Daddy and giant haystacks. In fact, I genuinely remember me and my nana, hot dogs. I don't know why I've got that memory so strong in my head. I don't know why it was hot dogs. Screaming at the TV set with my nana being completely in love with Shirley Crabtree. Well, these days it's brands like WWE that have huge followings right around the world. But the big question, what's it take to set up your own wrestling brand and put on the biggest shows of your career so far? Well, my new guest now, who's in the studio, I love having someone in the studio, can answer just that. Andrew Bowers is the owner and promoter of North Wrestling in Newcastle. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. So let's start from the beginning. What kind of inspired you to launch your own wrestling promotion right here in Newcastle?
I think, coming from Newcastle, I think we're always... I'm not going to try and go into that like local thing of, beating the flag of Newcastle in the Northeast, but we are cut off from the rest of the country, whether it's like intellectually or geographically. And I think there wasn't really anything. There was a lot of companies that came to Newcastle and did their own wrestling shows, but there was none from Newcastle that were doing the style of wrestling that we wanted to do for predominantly an adult audience. That kind of brought like a variety show to the area rather than it just being quite serious, because wrestling's kind of gone that way where it's like, there's a place for that where it's super serious wrestling.
Of course it is, but there's also a place for fun, isn't there, as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've always wanted to put on shows that are just hugely enjoyable, hugely like you can have anything from like, let's say, like a hard-hitting match all the way through to like a more comedy kind of match, all the way through to like you would think these guys were like in the circus, like trapeze artists. They're incredible.
There's such talent amongst it, isn't there? Can you remember the first actual one that you put on? And were you nervous?
Yeah, so back in 2016 we put a show on. We used to run out of a nightclub down on the quayside called the Riverside. It's much smaller than the venue that we're running on Saturday, and it's much smaller than the venue that we run regularly now. But we had a big talent. He's now a huge global talent. Pull out 24 hours before with an injury. And I just remember going, in fact, it was probably less than 24 hours before my first ever show. And I remember taking my then girlfriend, now wife Jade, and my mate Carl, who helps out on the shows, to the pub and just been like, what are we going to do? It was like, but the thing was, it was a real good lesson in that. With wrestling, the card's always subject to change. So even up until the moment, I can't trust the card until I actually see the wrestlers in the ring, and we're like, right, it's going now.
Even on the walk up, you're it could still all go wrong.
Absolutely, yeah.
So is there a lot of love for wrestling in the Northeast?
Oh, there's huge. I think like if you look at like obviously for North, we're getting like 300 people in regularly about every 6 weeks now. We've sold 600 tickets for our show on Saturday. And then if you look at like WWE come here twice a year, you've got they've been coming for years and years and years and years and years. You've got local other like British companies who come here regularly, so there's a massive audience. And a big question, what are the pro wrestlers like? Because we see them as like huge and big, sometimes scary and big old brutes. What's it like to deal with them, like on organise them on a daily basis for these kind of shows? So I was warned by someone that a man of my let's say, I'm a graphic designer by trade, right? So you know what graphic designers look like. I kind of look like a graphic designer, not a wrestling promoter. And I was warned that they're gonna take the mick and they're gonna kind of hold me up for money. They're not like that at all. Like, I think some of them are quite tough, like, and some of them are really like not difficult people to deal with, but you would be scared. If you met them in the street, you'd be scared of them.
Do you ever get in the ring with them for a bit of a laugh?
No.
Oh, I don't know whether do they ever go, come on, get up here?
Well, I've done a couple of things. We used to do like a Halloween show where I dressed up as Vince McMahon and I took a stunner and all of that type of stuff. But I try to stay out of it because that's certainly my job is behind the curtain. So yeah.
Yeah, and what's the day-to-day running of North? What's it look like? Are the jobs? Well, what sort of jobs do you have to do that maybe people don't think about?
So I do all the graphics myself. So all the graphics, but we have a team of videographers. So I think the stuff that kind of I do that people wouldn't realise is really managing people, and I think keeping people's spirits high and keeping people excited about coming to the show. The logistical stuff like booking hotels, trains, making sure people are getting the right cars together, making sure people are safe. I think, there's literally 1,000,001 jobs to do every day.
And like you said, because you've already, you're graphic design, you've got a day job. Is it kind of hard balancing it? Because I know obviously wrestling takes over a little bit, and I believe it did actually take over your wedding as well.
Yes.
With a wrestling ring at your actual wedding. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've got a very understanding, lovely and wonderful wife, Jade. We got married, and I want to make this clear. I didn't push it. I didn't want to be the guy, the wrestling promoter who pushed wrestling at his wedding. No, it was one of our friends convinced us and actually thought it might be something really cool. We didn't have a band or anything, so it would be something that would be a little bit more interesting. So yeah, it kind of snowballed from there. We had a wrestling match at the wedding. I think it went down a storm. I did think at the point where I was hoisted up on my mate's shoulders in the ring, I kind of thought maybe this step's a little bit too far.
Oh no!
Yeah, but it was good. It was great fun. It was.
And that's the thing. So does it take over your life quite a lot? Because I know you've just become a dad again, so you're a busy man. Yeah, I
got 3 kids, and I've got a 4-month-old now, Ruben. So very busy. Do
you ever think, what have I done? Because
100%
of so much.
every time. I'm thinking that right now.
But that's it, though. It must, when you talk about it, you light up. It must be such a joy when you see it happening. You see the reaction of the crowd, because we were talking a bit earlier on, just before we started chatting on air while the songs were on, that many people are wrestling fans. There's a strange thing about this, and I don't know why. People get a bit embarrassed to admit that they love it. Like my other half, Adam, which we're listening now, go, "Argh." But no, he was always going, "Oh, well, I was into it years ago, but not quite now."
Lapsed fan. I
know, but then as soon as he starts watching it, he's like, "I absolutely love it, and it's so much fun, and it's so also it brings back so much nostalgia as well."
Definitely. In terms of nostalgia, I think that's exactly it. There is no other buzz like running a wrestling show. With our team, we've got a number of people who are incredible professionals outside of wrestling. Obviously I'm a graphic designer, but we've got like videographers who are incredibly good at their jobs. We've got guys who are they're computer games designers outside of their jobs, and we bring all that creativity to the stories we do, the shows that we put on. And when you see a crowd reacting in a way that probably you didn't expect, to a storyline that you've kind of put together, or a match that you put together, there's honestly no other buzz like it. There's absolutely no other buzz.
And we've got Tom Campbell, who's one of our presenters here, who is huge on the scene, isn't he? He absolutely adores it, and he's amazing.
Unbelievable.
But that's it, just so many people absolutely love it. Now, who are the wrestlers that are going to be, there on Saturday, or that you work with that we might recognise?
All right, so we go back to the nostalgic thing. This is like blowing my mind as a kid. We've got 2 WWE stars from yesteryear. I grew up watching these guys. Scotty 2 Hotty, who I believe spoke to one of your guys recently, and we've got Gangrel as well, who's he's just a vampire, just a casual vampire coming down the ring. Like, don't worry. You
do know, you even just saying Scotty 2 Hotty now, someone's listening going, I want to go along.
It's so weird. I'm messaging Scotty 2 Hotty the other day about, just about life, and it's like, what? This is crazy.
And I love this. You can actually hear a bit from Scotty 2 Hotty now. Have a listen to this.
The second I met the people involved with North, from the promoter to the talent, it was like I click. First of all, I click with a promoter. I'm big in genuine people, and I could tell he was a genuine human being from the start. And then, just the show, and sometimes you walk into a venue and you go, oh, I don't know how this is going to be, and then that was in a brewery in Newcastle, right? And you walk into a brewery and you go, what am I doing? And then, when it fills up, you feel the energy, the whole dynamic just changes. And that was one of those nights where it was just like, you don't want to get out of the ring, just because it's so electric and so fun. And that's really why we do everything that we do. I can't wait to get back.
How does that feel? You've got Scotty 2 Hotty talking about obviously the Northeast, but talking about you,
it's crazy.
In that way. And does it make it feel like it's all completely worth it doing all this?
Definitely. I think there's a couple of things really. It's like looking back to when I was a kid and playing on those computer games as Scotty 2 Hotty with my brothers, or probably beating my brothers up being Scotty 2 Hotty and doing the worm. It's really weird for him to hear him talking to me about me professionally. It's really cool. And I think it's another thing, like I said, I got 3 kids. It's lovely to be able to show them. It's like you can work hard at something that I never thought I'd be able to be sitting here saying I'm putting on a show with these guys on for 600 people. It's like a nice way of kind of saying, just do the thing that you love doing and give it a go and see where it takes you.
Oh, definitely. And for anyone listening right now who's gone, they've just got a hit of nostalgia. Maybe they watch it a bit on the telly. Maybe they've never gone and seen wrestling live.
Yeah.
What's the experience like?
I think North Wrestling put on the best show for people who aren't fans of wrestling or don't say they're fans of wrestling. If you're into live experiences, if you love going to kind of immersive kind of experiences where it really hits you, the energy hits you, the crowd of people that we have coming, we've got these really faithful, they're called the North Faithful, but this hardcore fan group who come and just make the biggest racket you've ever heard, and they're so inclusive. There's people who just turn up by themselves and are brought in,
so people can do that. So if someone,
absolutely.
do you know, because some people who sat in the house thinking I'd love to go along, but maybe my friends might not be into it, can you rock up and you'll still feel part of the gang?
100%. I think it's one of the things that I'm most proudest of, and I talk to Tom about this quite a lot, is the kind of the community that we've built around it. And it really is, it's inclusive, it's there's friends for life, and there's people who have been brought together as friends by coming to North shows. I think that's a real big part of the experience of coming. But the one thing you'll see from this show that you'll not see from any other show is you've got so many stars, you've got so like ex-legends, you've got indie legends, you've got the best of British wrestling, you've got funny stuff, you've got big strong people, high flyers, guys with masks on, girls who will knock your block off, people with this amazing charisma, and then people hit other people with chairs and all that. So it's like, it's just this huge experience.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's what it sounds like. I think and even if you've never experienced any wrestling before, I grew up watching it, so I love it. But it's that thing of going, do you know what? It might be, you might have never realised that this is what you're into.
100%.
Maybe now is it. So if anyone wants to come along, where is it? How can we find out more information?
Saturday the 15th of July, so this Saturday coming. First bell, it starts at 6 p.m, doors at 5. We're at the, to give it its full name, Better Walker Activity Dome, or as we're kind of theatrically calling it, the Walker Dome. You can buy tickets at northwrestling.co.uk or buy tickets at /North Wrestling.
And will Tom Campbell be there?
Tom Campbell will be there.
Yes.
It's family friendly as well, so you can bring the kids. There's also a fully licensed bar there, so yeah, it's going to be
And then when you said that, other people's ears pricked up as well. Like, excellent. That sounds absolutely amazing. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming
Thank you
in.
for having me.
Just remind us again one more time the details. So online, you want to book it, what do they need to do?
northwrestling.co.uk, all the details are there, or buy tickets at /North Wrestling. You can find us on all the social media channels. We'll be plastering it with all the details over the next coming days. Follow us, like us, come down to the show, and we'll blow your heads off.
Yeah, totally give it a go. And you know what? You'll have a great time, but you can't blame us if you get back in and then start trying to do wrestling moves when you're getting into yourself. When you're a kid, you get away with it. When you're older, not so much.
Don't try it at home. That's all I'm going to say.
No, watch the professionals do it instead. Oh, well, thank you so much. That sounds like it's going to be absolutely amazing. And especially if you go along, you see our very own Tom Campbell, who's always at these events, and he's absolutely fabulous too.
Best.
He is. Although I'd like to see him actually in the ring fighting. Do you reckon he could wrestle?
He's done it.
Has he probably wrestled? Why do I know? Well, we need to get that online on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Yeah.
We want to see
it's a different
that.
promotion, so I'm not going to promote that. But yeah, he'll share it.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm going to start getting quite excited. Get my wrestle on.